Salut, c'est Aurélie. Today is a special day because you're gonna be hearing the English summary of a French interview I released 2 days ago. To be honest, I am quite nervous because it's the first time I do such an exercise and I hope the result is gonna be okay. And by the way, if you have any tips for me to improve that new content on this channel, please write a comment about it on YouTube, Spotify, or Instagram, and I'll try to keep it in mind for the next English summary. And with that being said, you're not gonna hear my friend's voice, it's just gonna be me talking for 15-20 minutes. But if you do want to hear Coralie's voice, you can go check the interview that we made in French, or you can go to her own channel, where every week she uploads a new episode. It can be an interview or a solo episode. And I think that's it for the introduction. So, who's Coralie? Who's the person that I interviewed? So, she's a friend of mine and she is studying sociology and anthropology in Louvain-la-Neuve, which is a city that is maybe like 30 minutes away by train from Brussels. So she's studying that, and in September she launched her own podcast channel that is called La Fougue, and in English you could translate that to the spirit, the energy, that's the idea. And at first she only wanted to interview people that had launched their own project in Louvain-la-Neuve. So that was the main idea, but now she kind of extended it to the whole French-speaking part of Belgium. And also she told me that if there's someone that she would like to interview that lives in France, that is not a problem. She could go there without any problem. And that's pretty cool because it means that if you're studying French and if you're looking for different kind of accents, her channel is perfect because I think that she has interviewed more than 10 different persons and all of them have a different accent. So to get used to the different accents that you can find in Belgium, that's the perfect channel for you. And the way that she finds her guests has been evolving with time. Before launching her podcast in September, she had made a list of people she wanted to interview, and after a few weeks that list was done. So what she did is that she decided at the end of each interview to ask her guests who should she interview next. So like that, each week she's got new names, new projects, new companies to interview, and that's how it's going. And at first she told me that she wanted to do the podcast alone, just like me. But then she realized that maybe she wouldn't have enough subjects to talk about, so she figured that it would be just easier to make other people talk and listen to them and ask them questions. And also doing interviews, that's also a way for her to extend her network and meet new people and create new relationships. So that's pretty cool, and that's also the reason why I want to start to do more interviews. It's for the same reasons. Then I asked her if before launching her own podcast, if she was already listening to other podcasts. She said that she was listening to a French guy. His name is Grégoire Dossier, and you will find everything in the description below. Of course, it's going to be in French, but if you do want to practice your French, that's perfect. So yes, mainly that guy, Grégoire Dossier, but now she has started to listen to more different podcasts, like In Power by Louise Aubry. You will find everything in the description. Le podcast de Pauline Legnaud by Pauline Legnaud, where she interviews lots of inspiring people. Then she also listens to the interviews that Ben Never makes on France TV / the YouTube channel. And the reason why she listens to so many podcasts is to get inspired by the kind of questions that they ask during those podcasts, and it has made her realize that it would be a good idea to have a question that she would ask at the end of every episode. And so that question is, for you, what does it mean to be spirited? And I hope I have translated it right and that it makes sense. I think so, but not 100% sure, but it's linked to the fact that her podcast is called The Spirit, the Energy, so yeah, hope you understood the idea. And then she told me that for her, finding the title of her podcast, La Fougue, The Spirit, the Energy, it was quite easy, and her sister helps her a lot for the different designs, and that's her sister that made the cover that you can see on your screen, etc. So you're listening to Coralie, but her sister has got an important role in the podcast, even though you can't hear her. Then we talked about negative comments and how she handled them. She said that right now she hasn't really received any of them, but before that podcast, she used to have a YouTube channel that was about Harry Potter, and at that time, yes, she received a few bad comments, and well, of course it hurt at first, but then she kind of got used to it, even though it was really just from time to time. And so now she said that she was quite ready to receive bad comments about the podcast because she has already received bad comments in the past. And then we talked about stress and the fact that for her first interview, she was really, really nervous and stressed. But it was mainly for the first one because, of course, when you do something for the first time, it's always gonna stress you out. But then she got used to that stress and it was okay, and she could deal with it more easily. And also the fact that she had made an appointment with the person that she was going to interview, it's a way for her to not be able to back off, and she has to do it because she has the appointment with that person. She can't say, oh, sorry, I'm too stressed, I'm not going to do it. No, that doesn't work like that. So that has also helped her starting the interviews. And she also sends the different questions in advance, like that the other person can think about them a little bit, not too much, but a little bit, and not be surprised by the different questions. And she also said that she doesn't really censor herself about the questions because she knows that she's not going to ask anything too personal, because what interests her is not the private life of the person she interviews, but her project, his project, their project. And of course, there's also room for spontaneity. Can you say that? Ooh, I don't know. I haven't checked that word. But yes, if a question just pops in her head, of course, she's gonna ask it. And still, there's the editing part that exists. So if after the interview, the person that has been interviewed is like, oh, can you please delete that part? She's gonna do it. And she told me that the editing part plus the promotion of the episode and also the fact of finding a good title and writing the description, it takes her about 2 hours and a half. Before, it used to be shorter, but now 2 hours and a half, more or less. And then we talked about the Imposter Syndrome and the fact that at first she used to compare her podcast and her numbers with the numbers of that French guy I talked about earlier, Grégoire Dossier. Of course, she was a bit disappointed because the numbers are not the same, but then she was like, right, it's not the same, but it's normal because that guy started maybe 2 years ago and I have just started 2 weeks ago, so I can't compare my journey that has started 2 weeks ago with the journey of someone that has started 2 years ago. No, that's not how it works. So thinking like that has helped her a lot. And also she's trying to forget about other people's opinion, because that was a worry that she had. Launching her own podcast and still going to university, maybe people were gonna talk. In the end, nope. Everything went okay, and she's glad that she did it. And then we talked about the goals that she has for her podcast. She said that she would like more people to listen to her podcast, which is a goal I also have, of course, and that everybody has got when you've got a YouTube channel, a podcast channel, etc., etc. She also would like to talk about more private topics and being able to monetize her podcast within the next 2 years. And then, that was almost the end of the interview, I asked her the question that I'm gonna ask everybody, I think, because, I don't know, I just like that question. And that question was, if this week you had to get tattooed a sentence or a quote, a motto, something like that, what would you get tattooed? And at first, she didn't really have any idea. She said that it would maybe be something linked to her sister. And then she added that it would be something about always going forward and not looking back. And that was the last question of the episode. So that's it for the English summary. I hope that you liked it. Please, please, please let me know if there's anything I can do to improve this kind of new content that is gonna appear maybe once a month, maybe more, maybe less. I don't really know yet. It's gonna depend on the interviews I'm gonna make. And yes, that's pretty much it. Hope that you liked it. And if you haven't, please write in the comments why. And that's it. See you next week with a solo episode that is gonna be about my Erasmus program, because I do know where I'm gonna go. To know where I'm going, you're gonna have to listen to next week's episode. See you next week then. Bye!